Hello, and thank you for joining us for a roundtable discussion featuring four of our key leaders here in Henry County. We're so glad that you could join us for this very important discussion as we head off into another school year here in Henry County, and we are the 8th largest school district in the state of Georgia. I'm joined here today by these four leaders who really set the tone last year as we started the previous school year, and the confidence that we were able to share within our respective entities and organizations really provided a great springboard for all of our families and all of our citizens across this great county as we navigated one of the most challenging times in history, the history of Henry County, the history of our state, and the history of this nation and the world. So with that being said, I do want to introduce you to everybody that you see here on the screen today, and you'll be able to hear their thoughts about the future of Henry County and their respective entities as we head into this next school year. So first person I'd like to introduce is my boss, and that would be Superintendent Mary Elizabeth Davis with Henry County Schools. A wave and a hello. And we'd also like to introduce Ms. Sherry Matthews, who is the County Manager for Henry County and the Board of Commissioners. And then we also have on our screen Mr. Josh Finn, who is the Director of the Development Authority for Henry County. And then last, but certainly not least, we have Mr. Joe Henning, who is the President and CEO of the Henry County Chamber of Commerce. Thank you all so very much for joining us today. As I mentioned earlier, this conversation really is to share with our community the excitement that we have for all the great things that have happened last year. Henry County really, despite a pandemic, hasn't skipped a beat, and we're excited to move forward with the school year that starts in just a few short days. So with that being said, I am going to turn it over first to our Superintendent, Mary Elizabeth Davis, to talk about everything that we're preparing for in this coming school year. So Superintendent Davis, take it away.
Well, thanks, JD. And actually, hello to my friends. I do believe what we have the opportunity to do together is really unique in communities across this country. To see four agency heads come together, not just for town hall conversations for our community, but in the daily work every day to serve our community with coordination, synchronization, and unity is really profound. And I feel really honored to work alongside you and really deeply in the work together. So I'm, of course, excited to talk about kicking off a new school year. August 4th, we are ready for a strong on-time start to the school year this year with 52 of our school campuses ready to greet and welcome in-person learning for our young people, and an incredibly extraordinary impact virtual academy for families who found better success in their academics through virtual learning, or who have circumstances that would prefer to begin their academic year in a virtual environment. Now, what we've done to get ready for this school year is, believe it or not, can't be stated without reflection on this past year. You know, as a system open for more than 75% of the year for in-person learning, we established incredibly reliable COVID-19 positive response protocols and proven mitigation strategies within our facilities and among the behavior of our school employees and students. Because of that, we're not in design mode of all of that. We are able to exercise the muscle that was built last year in order to provide a responsible, safe, in-person opening for those who opt for in-person learning, and getting our focus back right where it should be, and that's on the teaching and learning provided for kids. So we have, of course, prepared for this school year differently than we may have in decades past, but we have not been overwhelmed by the reinvention of how we can safely and responsibly open schools during a worldwide pandemic. Now, I would invite you to visit our district website, but we have actually released a continuum of mitigation strategies and are beginning our school year at the level 1. As of today, we are really focused on the facility adaptations, the focus of spacing among individuals in a particular room. And while we are at the mask optional state, we are highly recommending the usage of masks when you are in larger groups or within 6 feet from an individual. And I know for myself that as a fully vaccinated member of our community, I myself am just really comfortable putting my mask on when I'm in a larger group or when I find myself less than 6 feet from other individuals who haven't shared their vaccination status. And while we think about responsibly restoring in-person learning, we're also thinking about how we work with our families. And I would love to invite all of our families to visit our district website and click on our open house toolkit. This is going to give you instructions on how to find your teacher, your schedule. Well, that'll be available on August 2nd. And it'll also give you opportunities to identify your bus stop location and your bus route number and pickup times. It'll give you information on how to sign up for the after-school program in elementary school, or even put dollars into your child's school lunch account. So our open house toolkit is going to allow you to avoid lines and avoid congestion so that we can offer a responsible open house for our families to come and meet teachers and meet leaders and refamiliarize oneself with the school facility. So I believe after being in schools for 3 days now while teachers are back, the energy is so high in Henry County. The optimism for an extraordinary year is so high that you cannot help but feel the joy for education in our home community. And we are really ready to do a great job kicking off the school year, focused on every child feeling loved, every child belonging in a classroom, and our focus on learning right away. So JD, I'll turn it back over to you if there's any questions or some conversation among my colleagues.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis. What a great, recap of everything that we were able to accomplish last year with the health and safety of our community in mind. We really, as the county's largest employer, we have a great responsibility to try and ensure that we provide that reliable and stable environment for all of our students and our families and our employees. And we have a lot of great things that are in place to ensure that moving forward. I know that we had a discussion the other day that I'd like to reflect on one quick second, that some of the leaders across the nation have come together to really find the ways that school districts are going to have to operate and the things they're going to have to put in place if they want to get back to a full operational status in impacting student lives. And while I don't have that list in front of me, I know that in reviewing that list, there were 10 items that were essential for school districts. And when we reviewed those items, we were able to put a check by most of them while we had already done that or were well underway to accomplishing those. Any reflection on that as our school district really probably came out a little bit better thanks to the great partnerships that we had all across this community?
Yeah, I mean, I think the uniqueness is that we didn't ever operate unilaterally as a school system over this past year. What you see on the screen are instrumental coordination partners in every step along the way. And who you don't see on the screen, people like our CEO at Piedmont Henry Hospital, our pediatricians in the community, our faith-based leaders, and our nonprofit organizations. Henry County is a community that did not go it alone. There was every individual, every agency focused on how we could do what needs to be done for families, for young people, and for one another together. And I think it really created a different condition for which schools were open. And yes, I think it was the City of Great Schools Council came together, identified 10 key things that school systems need to be focused on. It was ensuring in-person learning was an option, knowing that not all children find the virtual environment to be sustainable for exceptional learning. It also was ensuring that there was a focus on filling any of those skill gaps or learning gaps, and we have a direct plan on how to do that. There's also a focus on ensuring kids did not lose their on-track status toward graduation. Well, we have really honed in on what we called our last lap last year of really getting every kid to that graduation stage with a high quality diploma and competent learning experiences. It also focused on ensuring that your partners with post-secondary institutions and the work-based environment was really tight. Well, that's what Josh Penn represents for us, and the opportunity to get our kids right into new businesses and longstanding businesses right here in our organization is something that the four of us work together toward. So I thought it was a moment of pride when we could really assess, according to a national model, whether Henry County Schools is focused on the right work and how we really can commit to this focus of in-person learning and student learning recovery and coordination with the county is what systems are aspiring to, and we're right there.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that insight, and we know that our schools are on the right track to making this another incredible and exceptional year for our students. Now we have the schools, and we definitely have plenty of students coming our way thanks to the incredible growth here in the county. And Sherry, Henry County, while it seemed like a lot of places were locking down due to COVID, there were a record number of people moving into this county. You can everywhere you drive, there are homes being built. There's new businesses and whatnot thriving, and of course we'll touch on that with Joe and Josh. But let's talk about the county and the we're celebrating our bicentennial this year. There's a lot of big things happening here in Henry County, and our families and the partnerships play an important role in that. So let's hear from you about all the wonderful things happening there in your world.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, JD, and kudos to you, Mary Elizabeth, because it is truly an exceptional honor to be a part, not just a part of this panel, but to be in the Henry County community. I think JD said earlier in his introduction, we're the 8th largest school district, but I tell people all the time, we are the #1 school district in the state of Georgia. And it's because we have continued to collaborate with each other, even in the midst of everything that's going on. JD touched on it. Henry County is celebrating its 200th anniversary. And I will say that in the midst of everything that was going on, our boards came together and did a day of service in which we brought everybody in the community together to say, look, regardless of where you're from, what side of the county you live on, or what district you're in, we're going to give back to our community. And that was a huge, to me, in light of everything that was going on, that was a huge, we're coming together as a community and we're going to fight this pandemic. I think I remember reading something that Joe put out a couple of weeks back in his chamber report, and it was all the hashtags: Henry Strong, we are Henry, Henry together. We are all of that. And in light of everything that's going on, our county is growing. My building permits, in the next 6 to 12 months, we will have 2,000 to 3,000 new homes under construction. People love Henry County. They're moving to Henry County. And for anyone who's here any time of the day, I'm sure you're sitting in traffic. And so that tells me that the growth is definitely moving. But we as a community have definitely opened our arms to what's going on. And I can't say it enough in terms of where we're taking off as a county. JD is absolutely correct. People are spending money. We're seeing a growth in housing units. We're seeing a lot of different types of land uses coming forth. And what I'm seeing most is an uptick in our healthcare profession. For those that may or may not know, we have a couple of new healthcare facilities that have located here in the county, and they are in need of employees. And so those are things that we're going to be working with Joe on, Dr. Davis on, and Josh to make sure that, one, we have individuals that we can get to work here, but also that we're recruiting the right people that can come here and do work. And so I'm really, really excited about where we're headed. I will tell you the county has a number of major projects that we're undertaking, and a lot of our projects center around how can we provide services to our students, to the families that are here within our school district. And so it's been so important for us to continue to dialogue. I will also say that we never missed a beat. Through it all, we have communicated. We've had a lot of conversations. We have services available to students and to parents that we make sure that we share with the school system so that no family is left behind, so that every family has the resources that they need to be successful. And so I'm really, really excited that students are back. I'm glad to hear that you have a number of students that are going to be in person. And I'm glad to say that I am a parent and I have a child that's in our school system. I truly, truly support the efforts that have been put forth. And it was great to be able to say to other colleagues, specifically other managers, our school system was prepared. We had a plan. I think Dr. Davis said early on, we didn't have to make a plan to give students computers to go home. They were already in place. And so that speaks volumes to Dr. Davis's leadership and the team and to the Board of Education for that forethought in making sure that our students had what they needed. So it's definitely, I'm excited. I have employees. Y'all are the largest employer, but I do have 1,700 employees, and a large percentage of those employees have students. And so when school system decisions are made, we are hand and key in terms of making sure that we're at the table. So again, thank you, and certainly looking forward to the continued dialogue this morning.
Sherry, of course, touched on a lot of great, updates for our county. Our county continues to be one of the fastest growing counties in the state of Georgia. Key in our growth and development are the great partnerships that our county has with all of our municipalities, as well as our state elected officials that represent us under the Gold Dome. And they have been instrumental in making sure that we have all the resources that we need to steer our community, our county through this pandemic and really end up on the positive side. And anything you'd like to add on the partnerships? And of course, we have some new leadership there at the Board of Commissioners as well. And so we're excited to talk about that and all the great things that are happening there with our county government.
Absolutely. And one thing I failed to mention are the resources that we've received. We do have a number of resources that have come down either from the state and or federal level. We are providing rental assistance for those individuals that may need assistance and mortgage assistance. But we've also partnered with a number of our nonprofits here in the community that can reach out to those families that are in need. You mentioned leadership. We have an amazing chairperson that is working hand in hand with the board chair from the Board of Education. And one of the things that they've both talked about is making sure that we are putting back into the community and that our staff members are communicating. And so it's interesting, when our board chairs came together, Dr. Davis and I looked at each other and said, we're doing that. We're having those 7 a.m. conversations. And so I will tell you, it feels good to be a part of this team because I know that I can pick up the phone and call anyone that's on this video and say, hey, I need assistance here. And so I will tell you the next couple of weeks, couple of months, we're going to navigate through this and we're going to come out stronger than we've been. I will say that, there are a lot of things, and I tell people all the time, this is a very fluid situation. The great part about it is that we can all brainstorm and come out with one voice. And I think that's how we've been successful through it all. We have one message, one voice, and we've definitely been very supportive of each other as we've navigated through this. And again, I want to thank my board who entrusts me to make those decisions, but also I want to thank Joe's board, Josh's board, and Dr. Davis's board, because realize we all work for different boards, but we can all come out with one message. And I think that speaks volumes to the partnership and collaboration that we have.
Sherry, to your point too, I can't overemphasize and stress the collaboration and the fact that, we all have these, these great levels of officership with the stewardship of what we're doing. And yet through this whole piece, we all checked our egos at the door and realized that we couldn't do this alone. That if I didn't have all of you and my board and some of the other volunteer leadership that I have, there was no way I was going to get through the pandemic, let alone get my organization through the pandemic. And so, to speak to my peers, and to be honest and talk about some of the concerns and issues that I had. That's what got this county so strongly through it, and to know that as we looked at the numbers for 2020 and even the first half of 21, we've all seen the successes that our organizations in our county had. Josh had significant recruitment, and the fact that Dr. Davis was able to get all of those kids across the finish line at AMS. And you and I have looked at like the sales tax revenue and bed tax revenue. And yes, bed tax was down a bit, but it was not down what some of my counterparts throughout the state saw. And so I think that collaboration and that willingness to work together is really what got this whole county forward. And when I say county, I mean every one of us, all the businesses, all the employers, the employees, the students. And so that to me was one of the biggest takeaways from this whole experience. And I know we were, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we were setting up for the educator launch and getting the bags ready to welcome the 450 new teachers to Henry County. And Dr. Davis had popped in to thank everybody. And I said something about, I don't know, Dr. Davis, I don't know if you remember exactly what I said, but I said it was something about, a great experience. And she looked at me like I was half insane, which I'm, about 30% insane. But what I meant was, it was just that learning experience for being able to work with you all and to be able to have those conversations that made that experience so strong and so beneficial. So, I thank you all, because again, there's no way I would have gotten through 2020, the first half of 2021 without this peer group. So thank you.
I do remember you saying that, Joe, but what I really remember is that in a season of uncertainty, this was certain, that we were going to keep a level of coordination and focus on what our community needs as a collection of agency support for our residents. But I also think, Joe, that you did remarkable things growing small business, shop local, and running a lot of campaigns that kept the doors of our community open. And so can you talk a little bit? I've heard you share some of those great success stories, but I'd love to just let our community know just what you were able to do as the Chamber of Commerce.
Well, thank you. Yes. Yeah, thank you. It's a win-win. And as Sherry kind of alluded to, if the schools aren't having in-person and it's virtual, or there's no school, it impacts our employers. And so that really is where that whole ties together for all of us, is that we have to really be working together. And so I was fortunate, to be able to work with you and Sherry and Josh and a lot of our other community partners throughout the last year. And we did the shop local campaigns. We had a couple of our employers that were looking for opportunities to thank their employees for, coming in even with all the stresses. And so we were able to get them to some of our small businesses, our restaurants and our retailers, and they bought gift cards from them. And then that way, that was their reward system for their employees. We had some strong work with our Convention and Visitors Bureau here, and they were able to do a number of customer service programs. They did a cleanliness pledge with our restaurants and our hotels, and if they agreed to abide by all of these sets of standards, and that we promoted that out there on social media and in the website, so that as people came through, they knew that these hotels and these restaurants were going above and beyond in order to provide service to our visitors to Henry County. And as I said, we saw a slight dip in bed taxes in 2020, but I think we were only down about 15% or so from the year prior. So nowhere near what we thought when we went into the pandemic in the second quarter of the year. We were able to bounce back a little bit easier and a little bit better. And we had those secure options that people could trust in that. And so, I think one of the things, and it wasn't necessarily commerce related, but in working with all of you and looking at what the concerns were in the community, we were able to address several of those. And we launched that community dialogue program and got people talking around that, and kind of help people better understand what was happening in the county. And part of that was pandemic driven. There was the anxiety and the stress of the pandemic, but then you just add that to what's already out there. You feel that fire. And so we had to figure out ways that we could continue to bring the community together, much like we're doing, the four of us. And so we had a number of great opportunities. I know that we all had some new things that we tried. I know Josh, you were able to recruit several great businesses and a couple of expansions in the last year and a half. And so, that's that piece that it helps Sherry with the permitting and the fees. It helps me with a membership base and being able to work with them from an employer perspective. It helps Dr. Davis there. You help with that talent pipeline that we're, if we didn't have the talent pipeline that you all are developing for us, Josh and our jobs would be 10 times more difficult, because we would not have those qualified workforce out there. So that is really the key why we all continue and still will work together, is because it's also intricately woven.
And I'll say this, and I'll let Josh jump in too, but I'll say, I don't know any other, and I'm going to say Metro Atlanta community that is doing what we're doing, where you have your superintendent, your executive director for your development authority, your executive director for your chamber, and your county manager having these type of conversations. I mean, even before pre-COVID, those conversations were being held. What can we do? What do you need? What are the resources that are available? And again, I want, I don't want people to believe that we're just, this is scripted. This is actually what is happening. We call each other, 12 o'clock yesterday. Hey, let's get together and have a community conversation. No script needed. Let's just tell the public what we've been doing. And so again, I think that speaks volumes to our commitment to make sure that our community recognizes the resources and the partnerships that are there. And it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing because it hasn't always been this way. And so I again, truly appreciate the relationships that we have. And I'll pause because I know Josh wants to talk about all the millions of dollars he's brought in. And
Josh, I'm going to let you talk, but I just, to share his point, Dr. Davis, do you remember one of the last meetings we all had before the pandemic? It was the week of the pandemic, I believe. We all sat together because we were working on your state of the district.
Yes, we were going to be a panel for the state of the district.
Yeah.
Because the state of the schools matters not at all if it's not a part of a great stability of the community. That's funny. Yeah. Well, and here we are, still sticking it out together. All right, Josh, tell us about all the amazing attractions you have created for new business to the community.
Thank you, and appreciate being on the panel today, and always the partnership. And it's not me, it's the development authority, it's our teammates, it's our partners that really make our job a lot easier to do, because we're not just competing against our neighboring counties, we're not competing against our fellow counties in the metro or in the state. It's a worldwide competition for these jobs and investment that's coming in. Over the last really 18 months, we just hit our fiscal year mark, so we got some new benchmark numbers out. Henry County has attracted over 4,000 new jobs coming in, and almost $600 million in new investment into our tax digest. That's just direct and what we as the countywide economic development agency have been able to bring in. One of our trade publications that we follow that just tracks economic activity within the 17 southern states, Henry County, for jobs and investment attractions as far as wins since the pandemic has started, we ranked second of those counties, only behind Fulton County, and that's Atlanta. I've kind of put them to the side, but we're up there with Dallas County, Texas, Mecklenburg County, which is Charlotte, major areas in the southeast that we're really doing well. But part of that is just the infrastructure that we have in place. It's not just roads and bridges. It's our education system. Employers and their consultants, when they look at Henry County, I've been doing this 2 decades now without the state of Georgia, and I've always, wherever I've been asked about school systems. I haven't had many questions about our school system here. That's a credit, because they do their research when they come in or before they come in and look in their decisions. We actually had one consultant who said, I read about your Impact Academy, and this was right before COVID hit, and then COVID hit, and having that infrastructure in place and employers having that option, to work with that, and they're, basically workforce childcare logistics, and having that infrastructure in place and the communications that we do have so that we can let our HR managers know what's going on at the school system was critical. And we do have a regional draw workforce, and talking with our HR managers in our established industry program, the feedback that we got, we always knew what Henry County was doing and what they were going to do. Some of our neighboring counties, we had to call and beg to find out what is going on so that we can plan to keep our business operations going. And that's critical. But, the folks that we try to attract, they're consultants, they know about the Henry County schools. They love what they're doing and doing great things. Our Career Academy, our CTAE programs are doing well, feeding into our colleges. We're really excited about the new STEM Academy coming and potential opportunities for our Henry County students who are looking to go in various degree programs, especially engineering. We definitely have some opportunities as they go to Georgia Tech and some of the other engineering schools to come back and co-op at these manufacturers and large employers as well, so that we can not just educate our students, but we can give them job opportunities to come back, but also opportunities where they can get scholarships, they can get co-ops that help pay for school. come back home and do their co-ops and save money. I've got a kid in college right now, so we're talking about her. She's getting ready to intern. We're talking about finding something where she can come back and stay with me and Janelle while she does it and save some money. Just a lot of great opportunities. And talking about healthcare, Sherry's mentioned that earlier. We're involved in Encompass Health and the Jodico Med One project, where Atlanta Heart and a few other firms are going to expand into. One of the other things that's great about that sector, I'll mention all these jobs that are coming in. That's growing the market share. That's helping Piedmont Henry and Kaiser and all these other medical groups that we do have in Henry County make the case to their corporate partners to invest more into their operations here because we're growing the market share, and we're growing the medical community as well. So it all kind of reciprocates, out there, but we do not do it alone. We got to have a unified front externally out there, and that's one of the things that we've been known for. We're the envy of the state. And we're going to work hard and do everything that we can to protect that. And it's conversations like this, but also the support we have with our organizations, not just countywide, but on the municipal side as well, too, that really make that happen. Because, the bottom line of it is when it comes to money and investment, they're looking at us from a countywide perspective, how we work together, how we move along and do things. And we've really got a great story to tell on that front, and looking forward to continued prosperity and keeping the economy growing. And again, y'all just be excited about what's going on. I know we're going through this Delta wave that's coming up, but we got a lot to be proud of here in Henry County. We look good, we feel good, we play good, and it is paying good because our millage rates are staying at the same. Our services are improving. We're offering more. And that quote, Deion Sanders' famous quote, and it goes to JD for having the Arkansas fan got football in my mind today, being a Friday. But it really is for Henry County. We got a lot to be proud of. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it more. The only thing that's going to stop Henry County from growing and being more prosperous and doing better things is ourselves. That's it. And we're going to knock it out of the park, and we're going to work together, and we're going to get there. To do even bigger and better things. And I'm just excited for what the school system's going to do. And Superintendent, I'm not looking forward to Henry County School beat my alma mater in state playoffs again this fall in football or basketball, but call and give me heck so I can tell my friends back home in Wayne County to leave me alone, because my paycheck goes where my support is.
All right. Well, for those of you who have tuned in, we thank you so very much for your time. The folks that you see here on the screen, truly, if this wasn't a plug for all the wonderful things in Henry County, we didn't do a good enough job. I think you probably got it, the clear understanding that everything works in tandem around here and in coordination with one another. The folks on the screen really supported our schools during a time that many school districts were suffering. Our development authority, our board of commissioners, our chamber of commerce rallied together to really call out our school heroes back in December, and we cannot thank you enough for your support and recognizing the very big jobs that our district employees play each and every day to support our students and their families. So with that being said, on behalf of Josh Finn, Executive Director of the Development Authority, Joe Henning, President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, Sherry Matthews, our County Manager, and Superintendent Mary Elizabeth Davis, we thank you, and we look forward to seeing you throughout the school year.